All right, all right, all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. It's always strange when my phone notifies me that I am live. It's like, Dylan, your Coding Tutorials 360 is live. Fun stuff, though. So, give me 1 second to get going here, guys. And we'll do what it do, baby. So, what people say. I'll pull up the chat. Ooh, all right, so how's everybody doing today? We got a lot of cool stuff going on in my life, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Here we give it. All right, chat is up. Now I feel like we're officially live because this is all about you guys when I do these every 1,000 subscriber live streams. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. Every 1,000 subscribers, I do a AMA where I answer questions, right? So one of my things was that I think is really helpful is having a mentor, having somebody where you could bounce questions off of them and you can, get responses for those things that are bothering you in life and that are in the back of your mind. And, as in, let's build that app. Hey, the homie. What's going on, man? Is that build that app? Mr. Build Your App? Mr. Steal Your Girl? No, I'm a fan, by the way. So I like to, every 1,000 subscribers, first off, start off by saying thank you for deciding to support the channel by subscribing and watching whatever videos I put out there and supporting me. Some of you even go the extra mile and support me on Patreon, and that's dope. Shout out to my Patreon page and the patrons. The other, some of you, subscribe and you watch one video a year. That's also cool, man. I appreciate it all. My goal with YouTube, I've accomplished the first goal of becoming a developer, and it's helped me get to where I am. And now I want to give back in any way that I can. So a lot of times, so for all these 1,000 subscribers, I do a live stream like this where essentially ask me whatever you want and I'll give you my opinion about it and we can continue up. And I leave them up. I tend to do a lot of live streams where it's just me working and, maybe doing some GitHub, doing some Markdown was what I was doing this week, just kind of doing that basic stuff. Equally as important, right? Got to have a nice GitHub for the portfolio and stuff like that. But I always struggled with having somebody to bounce those questions off of, having somebody where I could say, hey, what am I doing wrong? How can I improve? This is the route I'm taking. Is this the current route? Kind of similar to my most recent video, in which the video is called Invest in Yourself. And a good portion of that video is talking about basically just pulling the trigger, as I put it, and taking those doubts of failure, the doubts of all the stress that goes along with trying and potentially failing, and saying, you know what, I would rather fail, learn in the process, and go forward. And I think part of these every 1,000 live streams plays to that, every 1,000 subscriber live streams play to that fact, so that I can help anybody that wants to be helped. And I'm not the end all be all, but I would like to, anything I feel like I can provide value for, I do. So with that being said, thank you for coming here today. Let's talk about a few things. So what's going on in my life lately with software until we get some questions in here? Well, I'm working, so that's good. that's good. Working on a lot of cool projects. On a smaller team, it's always pretty interesting because when you're not working at like a massive sort of multinational corporation, you're working on, fairly decent sized business, but a you know, a 200 employee business, for instance, you get to, and you're on a team of about 3 people, you get to have a lot more control in how things are designed and developed than you might in a 50-person development team, for instance. So that's been a great learning experience. It's also something that I've kind of really enjoyed. And I talked a little bit about this when I was interviewed on Engineered Truth's channel about the realities versus expectations of a full stack developer. And I talk a lot. We talk a lot about 3 or 4 things I thought were really important, and minor things that if you're not aware of, to be aware of. So I encourage you to check that out. How am I doing today, Michael? I'm doing good, man. You know, we're almost at 23. I did this a little bit earlier today because I'm busy tomorrow, and that would be probably when we had hit 23,000. So I'm great, man. I'm happy. Life is good. I got my 3 cats that decide that even though we have 3 bedrooms, that they're all going to going to be in my office most of the time. All right, so like if you look over here, you can see his little head. He's on the cat tower over there. Usually there's one more on there and another on the futon. But I'm great, man. I'm a happy person. I'm just trying to grind it out like everybody else, and that's the thing about it is just keep grinding. A lot of people unfortunately give up. Not necessarily in software. I'm more so talking about in life. A lot of people, they're afraid and they never try. And I think what I want to instill on people more than anything else, and I'm not really one of those people that think that you can necessarily find motivation. I think people have motivation. I think people just don't try anymore. So I encourage you to try at whatever it is that you're doing. Stop thinking about it and just try the next day and try to get better and try to move forward. And, you know, we're all, much like coding, just much like YouTube and coding, we all start with 0 knowledge and 0 subscribers. And if you never start a YouTube channel, or you never start to learn to code, or you never start to try and get better and learn that new framework, learn that new hot library, learn that new language, whatever it is, you'll never get to where you need to be. And a lot of people are scared, man. Would you recommend any books and guides as a companion to learning JavaScript? This may surprise you, but I have read about 2 books ever on JavaScript. I've read a lot of like 50 to 100-page papers that my current employer gave me when I got there. When I arrived on day 1, my boss handed me a zip drive with about 1,500 to 150-page textbooks / papers, I would call them. So I've read through a lot of those. I am a big believer of video education. Excuse me. But in terms of learning JavaScript, the only books that I've officially read on that is You Don't Know JS, and it's a very good series. Any programming related area would I like to dabble in that's out of my comfort area? I'm always down to dabble out of my comfort area, especially if somebody is willing to pay me to dabble out of my comfort area. That's the thing is, at some point, you're always dabbling out of your comfort area if you're a developer, right? Because you take what your basic skill set of knowing how to be a developer, and then as web development which is rapidly changing, you then have to pick up other things, right? So I'll give you a perfect example of something I started dabbling. Okay, let's just pick up a little bit Markdown. Now I'm having videos being embedded and things like that, and that's a small thing. But if there was something that I would like to dabble in, I'm actually kind of doing it. I mean, I want to dabble in React and React Native specifically, and I start the React Nano degree course on Monday, right? So I talked about, I think at the last one of these, at the 22K subscriber AMA, I talked about how I want to learn React, and I'm going to. And so I'm officially enrolled. I paid for the course. They're on sale right now. If you're looking to get into a nano degree program, it's $200 off the flat rate of $500. And then the ones that are month to month with job guarantees, the first 2 months are half off. So so that's kind of what I'm interested in, specifically React Native. The idea of being able to write a web application and compile it down into an iOS or Android app seems pretty exciting. So I start on Monday on that. So that's my next sort of comfort zone area. The weekend before, I started studying Angular 4. So I am always dabbling in these things that are out of my comfort area. But that would be kind of what's on my mind right now, as well as just being a more mean and merge stack of focus sort of job. I'm studying Java come this September. Is Java dying? No, Java's not dying. There's just a lot more competition in Java. Even though there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of high-paying jobs in Java, so you just have to be a good developer. Code Noob says, if one of the coding babes reached out to you because of your video and they thought you was cute, what would you, which one would you want it to be? I don't know. I thought they were all kind of cute, but I am a taken man, so they're gonna have to fight the girlfriend. So the girlfriend of 6+ years. So I got me a ride or die. I ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Sorry. They'll have to get something that they're not very familiar with, which I would imagine is rejection. How do you get in web development when you live in a small non-tech city? I can't move. Well, you probably start your own projects, and you probably start working for yourself if it's freelancing. Although, I mean, again, it's always best if you can move, because 3 out of 4 developers are willing to relocate for a job. And so you're putting yourself in a category that not only are you competing locally, like you're staying in a region, so there's a limited amount of jobs, but you're also competing with people who are applying into your location. And so you're putting yourself at a major disadvantage. But I mean, I don't know what your personal situation is, but if you can figure out a way to maybe go from there, you might, and sometimes you may just have to take those grinder out roles. Like when I started, I was getting $12 an hour to do an internship that was 2 hours away, and that was 2 hours each way, and I had to get there at 6 a.m. So I was getting up at 3 a.m. I was driving, getting there around 5:30 or 6 a.m. by the time I got started, and then I was getting off at like 5 p.m. and getting home by 7 p.m.-ish, sometimes later because of traffic, right? So you may have to do something like that until you get some resume experience. You're learning JavaScript on Free Code Camp, kind of understand the basics, but do you have any tips on how to get better understanding of it? I think it's a lot of trial and error. I commit myself to watching 1 tutorial on YouTube a day. So if you can start doing something like that, where you watch a 20-minute tutorial on something in tech, and then you will also doing the simple stuff, solving algorithms, building projects. I think projects are really key for a lot of people when getting started, to learn about web development and how to get to that next level. Hey, buddy. Oh, I got a cat. Oh, yeah. He doesn't like being on camera. He's a shy cat. Oh, buddy. Okay. But yeah, projects are a great way of going, because it accomplishes a couple things. You actually get a real sense of what it is that you're building something from scratch. Algorithms are kind of like, hey, solve one use case most of the time. What's the name of your cat? So the black one you just saw, his name is Achilles. The one I showed who's on he's kind of a tannish striped cat. His name is Tito. And then we have an orange and white cat whose name is Milo. So, or as I like to call him, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. No. If I get a job in web development, will I be wealthy enough to have a dope cat like that? Hey, man. I hope so. I hope you can. So I've had my cats even when I was super broke. So I would hold off. So as most of us are, right? I'm not so bad anymore. I'm probably more of a extrovert than an introvert, I guess, at this point in my life. Part of that is YouTube and talking and all that sort of stuff, and just having these, just being more comfortable in your own skin as you become older and things like that, and not really worried about how people perceive you. But when I would, if I don't know how I started talking about that. But what I was trying to say is, if you can hold off on getting a cat or a pet until you are a professional, I would advise it, because they're expensive. I mean, I probably spend $100 to $200 a month on my cats, and but also I don't have any children either. So like a lot of people, I have the same mentality for children as well. So you shouldn't have them until you can afford to have them. But same thing with cats. But with that being said, okay, I remember where the correlation was. I've always had cats. Like as a child, I had my cat baby who lived to be about 19, and I was always a much more shy and introverted kid at times, anyhow. And like part of having a cat, I feel like a lot of people are introverts have cats, because you can talk to them, they kind of talk back, they spend time with you. You can kind of like, I don't know, like I talk to my cats all the time. Maybe I'm crazy, but you know how it is. Code Noob says, I have you on my features channel, and Traversy are a go-to tutorial guys. I highly recommend you. Thank you, man. I'm hoping to put out some. As I've become a better developer, I am hoping to put out maybe more Traversy Media long tutorials over time. We'll see though. I've been kind of sticking with what I've been doing for a while, and it's kind of a time thing. Those hour-long tutorials are really a time commitment. So we'll see. What I'd like to do, I've been thinking more so than that, is I've been thinking about starting a podcast and having it on YouTube, but also having it on like iTunes and wherever everybody else does podcasts. So we'll see if that happens, but that would be great. That might be the next big thing for the channel. Michael, did you get some sleep? Have I read the Iliad, or did you just name the? I have read the Iliad back in college in a. I want to say it was an English literature class. It's been a while, but no, I just like the name Achilles. You know what, man? Naming your animals and naming your children. I don't know about. I can't really speak to children, but the closest thing I have to children are my cats, right? So in that case, that's why I associate them with, whether that's correct or incorrect. But naming your pets is kind of a strange thing, because they don't have any say in it, and I don't know, like, what's a good name for a cat at the end of the day, right? So I don't know, like we Tito, we tried to name him. So when you go and we get all our we've gotten all our pets from the pound and stuff like that, and no kill shelters, and one of the things that's one thing that happens when you get a cat from the pound is they go and they have a name for him, typically on a piece of paper. And so his name was Tito, and we tried to come up with a better name, and we just settled on Tito. So Tito is his name. Oh, buddy. Huh? Remember when we got you from that nasty pound? Come here. Oh. Say hi. Oh, let go. Oh, oh, oh. This is my buddy right here. What skills should you have in order to get a junior front-end developer role or internship? You got to be hungry, man. You got to be willing to learn. You got to be able to show that you're passionate. I think communication plays more of a deal than skills. I mean, obviously, you're going to have some skills, but you're going to also have to show that you want to be there and that you're. Say hi, buddy. Say hi. Say hi. Yeah, man, I think that's probably more important than even the skills. But if I were to give you if we're just talking about internships at front end roles, you're probably going to have HTML, CSS, CSS, JavaScript, maybe a little bit of jQuery, a little bit of Angular, a little bit of React for a front end role, GitHub, maybe some Angular material or Bootstrap as well. It just depends. But that would be kind of what I would say is the basics. Five-part portfolio series helped. I'm glad, man. People have been yelling at me to go back and make a responsive one. Make the part 6 for responsive. I'll probably go around and doing that. All right, I'll show you guys all 3 cats now. So everyone's here. Come here, buddy. Come here. Oh, fat cat. Oh, fat cat. So this is our eldest. This is Mr. Milo. Just Milo. I'm all out of cats, man. I can't pull any more cats out for you guys, but so this is Milo. He's big, man. I don't know if you can really tell. Let me see if I step back. You can kind of see how big he is. Ooh. All right. You have officially seen all the cats. That's the secret to being a good developer, guys. Cats. The more cats you have, obviously, the more skilled you are. Everybody knows this. Do I find live streams help your channel grow? I don't know. So ones like this, not really. I mean, I think they're appreciated, and I think they provide value, so that's why I do them. You don't make any money on live streams unless you get donations, and with 15, 20, 30 people, I think the max I've gotten up to is 50 people watching. I rarely ever get any like fan funding or anything like that. So you don't make money, but in terms of being able to connect with your audience, I think it is a valuable thing. And I think you probably get more long-term subscribers than not when you do that, because you do create these personal connections and you do get to talk with people who, like your content and they like you inadvertently. So I think they do probably help, but you're not going to like see it in terms of views and ad revenue and things like that on the more practical standpoint. If I finish free code camp, would that be enough for a start? I got my developer job before I finished it, so I would imagine it would be, as long as you, again, go back to good communication skills, learning additional skills on the side, and being able to show that you're eager, man. A lot of employers, when they take on this sort of, they take on a person for a role, for an internship, or thank you, Ricky, for the $1. Appreciate it. It is appreciated. Shout out to Ricky Garcia, who also has a YouTube channel. Check him out. Bought himself a $1 shout out. But what I'm trying to say is you have to have skills. But when they're looking to hire you for a junior role, a lot of times they are saying they're looking to do a long-term thing, right? And they're trying to find out, is this someone that we can make part of the team, and is this somebody we want to work with? And so you might get hired over someone who's a little bit more qualified in reality, because they would rather work with you. It's kind of just basic communication and basic human interaction and things like that. And they want somebody who wants to be there and who's eager, man. So that would be my suggestion. I also think that's part of the reason that I'm kind of an attractive candidate at times for companies, because I don't see how you could make the argument that that's not me, right? So not only do I have a coding channel devoted to software that I'm a regular uploader on and I'm learning all the time, right? And it can be shown in video format and like GitHub and all that. But also I have a Facebook group, a coding group. I've volunteered, with code.org. I've volunteered other organizations as well. It's very easy to make the argument, because this is who I am, that I enjoy software. I'm constantly learning, and I'm also, going to hackathons. I'm going to meetups and things like that. So those are the types of things that you can do for no money, and just the time, effort, and energy to invest in yourself. And when an employer sees somebody bettering themselves and bettering themselves as a developer on top of that, and interested in software and passionate about it, those are the type of people they want to bring on for internships, and they want to bring them in to be a junior developer and work them up. So what are some resources that are similar to Team Treehouse but are free? I mean, Team Treehouse videos, I guess you would have to do YouTube if you want free. In terms of free like coding challenges, there's Codecademy, a free code camp. Code Noob donates $2. Everybody wants a shout out. Check out Code Noob, who's on his coding channel journey right now, getting started from noob to boss ass bitch coder. Right? Isn't that the goal, to be a boss ass bitch, or coding god, as we say here? So Code Noob, rather. Good for you, man. You have to be on my level one day. It's always strange when people say that to me, because I don't know what that means. Like, I'm just a dude that's trying to get better. And like, I don't even feel all that great sometimes, right? So, I just, I'm just working hard, man. One step forward. Well, I'm in the Tampa area currently. I'm originally from Los Angeles, but I've gone to meetups in both areas. Excuse me, guys. I got to clear my throat real quick. I apologize, guys. I'm battling a little bit of sinus, and I'm getting over a cold still, so I apologize for that. I don't want to say I undervalue myself, but software is an interesting thing, because you really never know how good you are compared to other people, because you can only compare yourself with the developers you know, and most of the developers I know are senior developers. So it's like you look at them and you're like, yo, man, I don't know. But yeah, meetups are a great thing for you guys to do as well. If you aren't taking advantage of that, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, as well as hackathons. Yeah, I don't know if it's imposter syndrome. Like, I know I felt that in the past. But I think it's just here's the thing, man. It's like, when you come from like for me, right? We've talked about this before. Like, where 3 years ago, I got my first internship. Before that, I was a part-time student, and I was delivering pizzas at Domino's. So you go from something like that to being a paid professional and valuing your job, valuing the money, because you've been in the spot where you haven't had that before. And it's hard to mentally wrap yourself around where they're going to pay me how much? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a crazy thing. And you want to make sure you don't, you have to kind of realize, like, you know what? I'm actually worth this. And so I think that's where it comes down, is just kind of realizing that. And I think as a junior developer, you kind of, or as an entry-level developer, I should say, it takes you a second, right? So, but I think that's easily overcame rather, if you are studying regularly and you are learning everything you need to learn. I really do. I think I'm going to take down those little 3 right there. Yes, I think that'd be looking better if I took those 3 ones down. Please reply to my emails. I don't have any emails, man. So if you send me an email, I'll most likely reply to it. I reply to the comments on the weekends as well. But yeah, so it's the massive echo, yeah. You know what? My whole office is kind of strange because this futon's messing up my green screen effect in the wall now. Because I had to rearrange the whole thing because I got the HTC Vive. So Shubham Bajah, why don't you just send me a follow-up email, man? I got my email up right now. I'll look at it and I'll respond visually or verbally if it's something that's appropriate. And I think other people can take value from. So I think it also, the whole imposter syndrome comes down to being okay not being in your comfort zone as a developer and just accepting the fact that you shouldn't really have one. Because the greatest part about being a developer, in my part, other than you know, the practical stuff of being able to provide for yourself and your family and have things like health insurance and PTO and you know, be able to, you know, invest and save for retirement and things like that. But in terms of being a developer, I really like the fact that I'm always trying new stuff. Like, I'm not going into work and I'm not doing the same task every day. I'm building new things. I'm learning new languages. I'm getting more comfortable with frameworks. That's the stuff I like. Do you recommend Treehouse for their full stack path? I have not. I tried Treehouse. I didn't really like it, but I can say that they got a lot of content on there, so I can't imagine that it's too bad. But I don't know specifically about their full stack path. Might you think about having a fight with us, subscribers, on code fights? Those code fights are so long, man. Yeah, I don't know anything about video compression. Shubha Baja. Sorry, man. But I don't know. The code fights are so long. Maybe I'll put a tournament together one day, and I'll do like an announcement video, and we'll get some stuff going on there. I'm almost up to the next level on code fights, so I'm kind of motivated to keep pushing through. But I just recorded like 60 videos on it, so I'm kind of burnt out on code fights for a bit. But all that stuff's coming out. I spent the last 2 days doing markdown files for all of them, putting the instructions. How long are code fights? So, well, it depends. The type he's talking about, Brandon, are where you battle each other, and it's essentially you get like 3 mini algorithms to solve against each other. How did I do in discrete mathematics? I hated discrete mathematics. Also, our teacher was garbage, and I'd be happy to tell him to his face such things. But I got like I passed it. I got a C. It was awful though. It was absolutely awful. You gotta get back to work, Andy. Have a good one, man. Thank you for the support. Collins wants to shit on me in code fights. That's why I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Look, man. I can't have all you subs, all the plebs out here talking shit after talking about they shitted on Dylan in code fights. So I'm just gonna pretend like I'm too good for all y'all. Something I had to learn that I never expected to learn in my career. Let's see. I suppose that a PHP framework would be a technical thing I never expected to learn, but I took my job here not knowing what the back end was because it was still being developed, and they were still hiring the senior dev. The senior developer actually got hired a week before I did, so I took that knowing that that would be something that would be up in the air. With that being said, in terms of a less technical thing, I suppose that not every software company is going to be ran perfectly or conventionally. That is something I learned in the process over the years. Some will be ran well, some will be just ran, and some will be ran poorly. And that it was surprising to me. Am I active on Twitter, Facebook? What's your main source of subs? Main source of my subs is just search. You guys search for things on YouTube, and then they find the videos. That's my main source of subs. I do have a Twitter. I tweet out whenever a video goes out. I respond to tweets, but I don't actually tweet anything. My Facebook, I have the Facebook group as well. So that's one way. Codetech and Caffeine, I use that as a way to share resources, maybe some things that I don't have the maybe that don't deserve a video or they can't be fed into a video. I share that there, as well as I share my videos on there on occasion that relate, like not specific ones like, you know, solve this algorithm, but maybe like how to invest in yourself, you know, the most recent video I shared. What's your engagement level / percent on your channel? I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look that up. Do I hate Java? I would say that if it was between love and hate, it might go to the hate. Java was what I did my coursework in, and I never was a fan of it. I really liked the web development languages much better. It could have just been the way that it was taught, things like that. But it has a lot of value. I don't know. I like JavaScript. How do I feel about Vue.js? I haven't dived into it yet, but I know a lot of very reputable people who really love it. Program with Eric being one of them, and you know, the guy loves it. He's writing a book on it. He's got a master's in CS as well. So if he says it's a good thing, I tend to believe him. But with that being said, I haven't had a chance to touch it. On a practical standpoint, there's not jobs really in it yet. So if you're choosing between Angular, React, or Vue, you probably should do Angular or React, or all three, or at least one Angular, one or React, and then Vue.js. Because there are Vue.js things that are saying preferred. I don't necessarily see Vue.js jobs. Not yet, but so from a practical standpoint, that would be what I would say about that. Apart from JavaScript being your primary language, what is another language you like or desire? Desire. That's a strong word. The only thing I desire is my baby. Let's see. I don't know, man. JavaScript's so crazy. JavaScript's so crazy because it's always changing, right? So you just get comfortable with ES5, now you're getting comfortable with ES6. You just get comfortable with ES6, now you're getting comfortable with TypeScript. By the time you're comfortable with TypeScript, who knows what's going to be out, right? So it's always interesting on that. Now, one language I would learn is probably Python. Python, I've played around in Python a bit. I had some coursework in Python. I built a game or two back in the day in the Pygame library. I liked it, Python. Python's actually I think one of my #1 watched videos on Codecademy, that course. So I think a lot of people are learning Python. And Python's on its way up. So that would be one area in which I would be interested in anything. That would probably be what I would do. Does AdSense revenue depend on YouTubers' locations or viewer locations? AdSense revenue depends on watch time. It depends on views. It depends on click-through rate. But it also depends on the type of content, right? So I believe I fall into an education content space, which I have a higher CPM, which if you're not familiar with YouTube, what CPM is, it's basically how much money you get per 1,000 views. So I'll get something around, I get around 110 to 125,000 views a month. And I'll take home around 350, which is a lot if you compare about it. So if you say about, for easy math, we'll just say 300 and 100,000. I'm getting about $3 in my pocket for every 10,000 views. So, and mind you, Google's taking half of that, so I'm actually getting closer to 6. Some people can get as low as 1. Some people get as high as 5, right? And it just varies depending on the content and engagement. So the ads, right? How do you feel about PHP? A lot of people talk mad shit about it. I work in PHP at work. It's interesting, mainly because I unfortunately had to be thrown into an environment in which I didn't necessarily, I wouldn't even say I know PHP, even though I write PHP pretty frequently and I work within PHP. The main problem with it is when you start out with a framework, when you're learning a language, you tend to be more comfortable in the language. So there's a lot of things in PHP that that the Cake PHP framework does for you that you might have to pick up on your own. But I don't know. I've used things like Node, and so if you were to compare PHP and MySQL to Node, Express, and MongoDB and Mongoose, that second category, the traditional mean stack, can be deployed easier. It's a lot easier to get started. I really like it a lot better. That'd be what I would say. Do you still build games with Python or an engine like Unity? No. I did the Pygame library for some coursework, and I started another one, but it's a long process. I decided not to go down the Python route. So I think there might just be a traditional learning curve with PHP. A lot of projects do use PHP. I'm gonna sit down, guys. I've been standing this whole time. 1 second. Ugh. Well, YouTubers, so I watch quite a few coding channels. Chris Hawks is one, Traversy Media, Derek Bonus, when I need a tutorial or two. Although a lot of the stuff I'm looking up now, Derek doesn't do tutorials on. What else? How's my coding site going? I've abandoned that project for now, Brandon. He was taken away from like me learning and bettering my skill set, and my career is kind of the main focus of my life right now. And so I decided to kind of abandon that. Probably something I'll do in the future. I just didn't want to push out something half-assed and feel like I was just trying to make a money grab. What do you think about Electron? I haven't had a chance to work with it yet. What was your primary motive? Primal motive, but I think you mean primary. What's your what was your primary motive to upload videos on YouTube? Well, I've talked about this in the past, David. When I first started, it was a combination of just trying to get better as a developer and maybe create a video portfolio in the process for potential hiring companies. That was really it. Now that here we are, 2 years, 3 months later, it's become a lot more than that. And it's a little bit of a different thing now. Because right now it's a yes, it's all those things, and it's a big portfolio item for me. But I also am enjoying it. I'm making a little bit of money, not a lot, very little, and hopefully that will grow over time. Maybe one day I'll be doing this full time. I don't see a path to that anytime soon, like in the next 5 years at least. But I don't know, man. It's just such an integral part of my life now that I don't know what I would do without it. I would have so much free time. I guess I would do the same stuff I do now, coding. I just want to make videos about it. But part of making the videos helps me learn, helps me reinforce. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I talk to myself in the mirror at times because I want to. When I am wavering, I look at myself in the mirror. And I've had these moments where it's on the negative end, where I look at myself in the mirror and I'm disgusted with myself and I feel bad. So I look at myself in the mirror and I say, what is the goal for today? What is the goal for tomorrow? And then whatever I need to do that day, I say, I am going to do this today. So sometimes I have to do that to kind of get going on what I want to do, but I don't know why I brought that up. It's going to make me sound crazy. But I verbally say these things so that I am prepared to do them. And YouTube's kind of the same thing where I do them and then I make a video about them and I learn it twice, or I reinforce it rather. So Simple Programmer, I like Simple Programmer's content. I don't watch every one of his videos because he puts out 2 videos a day and it's hard to keep up with him. But I would say that in terms of content, I think most of the time he puts out good content. For most people, I would say some of his videos are very detailed and some are sort of general stuff. But some people need that general stuff, and it's kind of astounding at times when you think about it, right? Should you extend your graduation date by a semester on your resume to get extra internship? Probably not. Probably just graduate and start working, man. That would be my advice. Bitcode, what's going on, man? All these cats are laid out, man. Like it's about 10:30 and they've been fed and now they're just all laid out, little fat cats on the couch. They're all sleeping in here. There is 3 bedrooms, a living room, and a dining room, and they all just come to hang out with me, man. I think it means I'm their favorite. Am I the only one who's coffee never ends? I don't drink coffee, so that's why the only time I get a coffee is April. Listen to this. You guys want to hear some bull? April says, "Hey, baby, why don't I take you out to breakfast this morning, right?" So I say, "Yeah, cool," because she knows I'm trying to save money and stuff like that, and she wants, we switch off on occasion. I said, "Hell yeah, let's go to breakfast." So we go. We have this nice breakfast, and then she goes, "Oh, baby, I forgot my wallet." I was like, convenient how that happens. But yeah, so this is my coffee for breakfast from like 2 hours ago. I only drink coffee when we go out. I rarely drink it. So that's why I'm sipping on it, because Um, have I ever encountered discrimination issues when looking for a job? Not that I'm aware of. I do find it kind of weird that they ask your age and or not your age, your ethnicity on a resume. I don't think that's who's April. April is my girlfriend. Hey, don't be throwing around that wife word nonchalantly, man. Where I come from, that's fighting words when you start saying stuff like that. But I would say that for the most part, when dealing with larger companies, they will actually take off your name and delete your image if you have one on your resume, when going through recruiters at least, so that there aren't any biases, and they're just looking at your resume and the type of candidate that they are at, which I think is probably a pretty fair way of doing it. I don't know. I tend to believe people just want qualified candidates. And I mean, for the most part, I mean, if we're going to be very honest about it, as a Caucasian male, if anyone's not going to get discriminated in as a group, it's probably going to be that category. But I've never experienced any discrimination about that. Although I recently unsubscribed from a coding YouTube channel. I'm not going to say any names, but I was so offended that he had mentioned that when he goes and he's looking for potential employees, that he will actually take the white applicants and he will look at them last. He will order the applicants, and he will take the white male and female applicants, and he will put it on the bottom of the stack. And if you can't find a candidate that he likes in the top of the stack that doesn't fit the white male or white female, and by the way, then he puts the white female on top of the white male, as you might imagine if you're doing this. And then he will actually go through that whenever he's looking for candidates first, which to me is discrimination, just going in a very unfamiliar direction. But I had unsubscribed from that when I heard that, because I think that was too much, man. I don't know. I heard something like that, and that got me thinking, like, I wonder, man. I don't know. I think that guy's just caught up a little bit too much. So that was the only time. That was about a video that was posted about a month ago, and that was the one time I started questioning, because you do have the option of, they give on your resume. You do have on the application, typically have an option to decline to answer your ethnicity and decline to answer if you're disabled. I never have felt the need to do that, because I don't think it should matter. And I think 99% of the time it doesn't, unless you run into a guy like that. But the reason why I haven't changed my practices of answering that question is, if that is the case, I don't think I really would want to work with somebody like that. And so if he wants to discriminate against me, I don't want to work with the guy anyhow, right? So that would be the closest I've come to discrimination, to actually seeing, like, wow, people actually do that. But I don't want to, so I'm not trying to start any drama, guys. I can appreciate that you want to not be supportive of that guy, but I don't want that. Is the guy white? Yeah, man, he looks like he could be my cousin. So it's, yeah. Not the, so with that being said, guys, I only shared that story because it was in the context of things. 99.99% of employers, I don't think any of us have anything to worry about. I think it's skill-based, it's experience-based, and I think the hard part is just getting a little bit of experience on the resume, and learning the skills in your off time. That's really it. But yeah, definitely. I definitely would say they probably. I definitely would say he probably does fall into the social justice warrior group. Yeah, drama alert on the coding channel. All these coding channels are beefing with each other. Combined, they have 32,000 subscribers. You know, like people are writing angry algorithms left and right. You were not accepted as a student in a meetup because I was white and straight, and the reason was that they want to prioritize underrepresented people. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, here's a perfect situation. I wanted to join the engineering club at Cal State Los Angeles, but unfortunately, it's all there's something innately unsupporting, and so like let's take a college group because it's a pretty standard situation. So the bulk of Cal State Los Angeles is Hispanic. I believe it was something like 55% of the population, like 17% is Asian, and basically the rest is white. So it's like goes Hispanic, white, Asian in terms of percentage of students. Now, there are basically two engineering clubs, and both of them are the Hispanic engineering clubs or whatever. And so technically you can go and be members of the Hispanic and the African American clubs on campus, but there is something kind of uninviting about it, right? So instead of just being a engineering club or a computer science club or something like that, when you start attaching races and adjectives, for that matter, it made me feel uncomfortable, especially because I didn't know anybody as part of the clubs. But that was the only time I probably didn't feel welcome. In a situation where I felt maybe I might be getting discriminated against, but for the most part, I don't think that's not something I consider in my daily life, I suppose. Thank you for the congratulations. Yeah. TLDR, fuck racism of every kind, right? There we go. Hi, I like your channel. What do you use to record your screen? Well, right now we're using Google Hangouts. I use the Google Hangout events. And in terms of what I record my videos with, it's just OBS, Open Broadcast Software. I'm almost done with this coffee, guys. So my cats like to wake me up if I'm not up by 6. I'm typically up by 6, except on the weekends. I might sleep in until about 6:45. So if I'm not out of bed by 6:15 to feed them, April and I have like 3 cats like crawling over us. So while we're trying to sleep, so when they sleep during the day, I wake them up. I give them like, hey, a little nudge, wake up, you, wake up. Yeah, you ain't going to sleep. What % of my net income goes to rent? Are you counting utilities? If you're counting just rent, and mind you, April and I split our rent. Right? So 50-50. We split rent and utilities. And because I make more money, I'll typically pay for a couple other things when we go out and stuff like that. And if I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna add YouTube money in, which is around $8,000 to $9,000 a year in total. But I'm gonna just up it to about 10. I don't know, let me pull out the calculator, man. Actually, I'll say $500 a month. That'll be easy. $500 a month plus my take home. I'm doing take home salary, not gross. What's going on with this calculator, man? I spend about 10% of my income on rent. Just rent, not counting utilities, and that's after I have my taxable income. Yeah, I spend about 10%, but that's just me. That's not counting what April spends. Well, I mean, we've been lucky to with YouTube. I make a little more than that, Davis, after taxes. Any update on the Free Code Camp backend projects? There's a lot of things I've been studying, and the Free Code Camp backend projects. It's not that they're very hard; they're just very time consuming. What I may do is I may actually just do one of them, so people can kind of see what they're going to need to do to get to where they want to go. You made your wall a green screen? Did I? Or did you make your eyes green? Think about that. Did I just blow your mind right now? So when did I feel confident enough to take a job? When I was working at a software company and seeing the people they were interviewing was a pretty crucial part. When I was seeing the applicants, and I was seeing them fail things like reversing a string or seeing what they've worked on, and they're mainly interviewing web designers at the end of the day who maybe had worked for a company like worked for a company that like their parents' jewelry store. And things like that. Also, when I could follow along what the developers were doing, I felt pretty comfortable. Some new projects, I think, in the backend of Free Code Camp. I don't think so. Not at least on the public version. Maybe on the beta. Do you think beginners overestimate the skills of senior programmers? I think beginners underestimate their own skills, I guess would probably be a better way of answering that. Myself included at times, right? So, you know, one of the common compliments people will say is, "Hey, man, I can't wait to get on your level." And like to me, I think like you're here, I'm here, and like everybody else is here, right? So it's like to me that's kind of a strange thing. But it's hard to gauge, man, especially without a traditional computer science background or degree. You don't have like sort of that ego bump. I think that goes along with it that you have proved yourself already, I think. I think that's a lot of what that is a lot of what you get when you go and get a CS degree. How's the React learning going on? I start on Monday actually. So Monday my React nano degree program opens up. Have I ever tried Upwork or any similar sites? No. The only freelance work I've done in the past, I've done on Craigslist. A lot of it's hard to really compete with a lot of those Upwork guys because you have guys in, third world countries, or not third world countries, but countries where the cost of living is a lot cheaper and they can charge 1/3 of what you can. So for me, if I was going to do freelance work, I would have to charge a premium on what I make an hour, or I wouldn't do it. Do I work from home? No. It's just my office. I mean, I could if I wanted to. That's one of the reasons that I'm going back, David, is one day I could see myself actually being a teacher of sorts. So if that's the case, if I ever go down that path, that'd be something that I would have. Yeah. Where do you learn React? Right now, I'm doing it through the Udacity Now degree program. Can I freelance with HTML, CSS, basic JavaScript? You can try. Nothing wrong with trying, man. You can definitely try. I have hired some freelancers in the past on Upwork. But I've never actually done any work on there myself. That's actually where Engineered Truth does a lot of his contractors. That's where he gets a lot of them from. Bitcode, I'm not quite sure yet how it's set up because all the sections are locked up till Monday. What I can say is that some of the benefits is you have people in chat that you can talk to about it, and you also can submit your projects. You can submit your projects and be reviewed by developers, which is a huge benefit. Hashtag fix college. Have you encountered Python as a requirement for a backend developer? I mean, it depends on what you're doing. There are backends that uses Python. Yeah, the Udacity Now degree program isn't cheap. The one that I'm doing right now is $300, but it's normally even $500. That's one of the cool things about the the React Now degree program has what they call a extracurricular stuff, and as one of the parts on there, they help you with networking, they help you with your resume, they help you with applying and stuff like that. So as part of the program, they help you actually get a job, which a lot of colleges for some reason don't. Like, they don't care about getting you jobs, which a lot of people forget. There's this big emphasis on like educating yourself. Like, not even educating yourself. Colleges, it puts an emphasis on paying good money to expand your mind. Meanwhile, the people who are going to pay you money to pay off those loans don't want you to expand their mind. They want you to gain skills. So that's kind of where traditional college is failing, in my opinion. Any sites like Free Code Camp keep working with challenges. You could do Code Academy. There's also, if you're looking for algorithm challenges, there is Code Fights, which is what I'm doing. One second, guys. Oh man, it's cold. What are your thoughts about Dev Mountain and Iron Yard shutting down? Is it a sign of the bootcamp industry ending? Nope. I think it's a sign of two poorly ran boot camps that either didn't change their curriculum, expanded too quickly, had a bad business model. I think that's probably more so what you're looking at than anything else. I think, if anything, what you're going to see is a continued growth of boot camps. You know, you have things like Dev Mountain, which is expanding and doing great, but you do have businesses that are going to close. I don't know about. I know that happened with the Dev Bootcamp, but where they got bought out and then shut down. But I also think what's happening. So what's happening is there's a lot of universities that are now running their own coding boot camps, and which is jacked up on so many levels. But they're now offering coding boot camps because coding boot camps were taking away so much money, and I think that might play a factor into it as well. Learning Android, you got to learn Java first. Gajal Viesta. You should always complement learning with multiple resources, Andy. If a guy is a good developer with a decent salary, why would he be teaching at boot camps? Depending on the boot camp, you at teaching. I've seen some job postings to be a teacher at the Iron Yard. They're offering $150,000, so you can make good money teaching at boot camps. It just depends. IEE Spectrum plays Python as the #1 programming language. What do you think? I think Python's growing. I don't know anything about IEEE Spectrum, though. And so it's probably one of the fastest growing ones, although I don't think it's probably #1. Yeah, I don't know. So the thing about the boot camp shutting down is, and by the way, I was stunned to hear the Iron Yard because I have meetings to go to that I'm signed up on meetup.com at the Iron Yard in downtown St. Pete in like a weekend. So when I heard that, I was really stunned. But I wasn't too surprised by the Iron Yard. The Iron Yard was putting out some shitty fucking grads. Let me keep it real with you. I went to one of the grad events, and I was really underwhelmed. I do full stack, Dragon. All right, guys. I think it's about time to wrap this up. I have to actually study a bunch of stuff this weekend. Do we have any final questions before your boy takes off here and go takes an allergy pill or some Dayquil or something? Do you think that free code camp will dominate the boot camp industry and that's why we're seeing shutdowns? I think it could play a factor. I don't think that it's going to dominate the boot camp industry. Unfortunately, free code camp isn't putting out enough new content in a quick amount of time. So, like, what's on there? There's no React tutorials on there yet. I mean, they have plans to. Don't get me wrong, but those are really in-demand skills. There's no Bower tutorials. There's no Webpack tutorials. So they need to. And I understand they're volunteer and they're doing it so that it is a great resource and one of my favorites. But it will not replace a boot camp. Because a lot of people need the hand-holding. And I don't blame them, man. It's hard getting started. What I think about the Flex grid, the Flex system, I'm not really too familiar with it, to be honest. Get some rest and dream of code. Thank you, man. All right, guys. I have seen the Coding Rainbow, man. That guy, when I see channels like that just explode, I always think to myself, what am I doing wrong here? Am I going to write any Amazon skills in their developer IDE for Alexa? I've thought about it. When I went to the Angel Hack Hackathon, somebody did, but I believe it was they had to write the program in C# or C++, which I'm not really too familiar with, so I'd have to learn a new language to do it. But you never know. React or Angular? I would say React. A lot more React jobs right now than there were React developers. It's what I'm studying for that exact reason. So I think React, there's a lot of money in React. But Angular, if you're doing Angular 4, man, get going. All right, guys. Well, thank you. This was our 23,000 subscriber AMA special. We do this for every new 1,000 subscribers we get. I appreciate you so much if you're one of the 1,000, and if you're one of the other 22, thank you so much for being a part of my channel. I am started this YouTube journey about 2 years, 2 months ago, according to my LinkedIn. And it has been a journey. You have seen me from somebody who knew no web development to now being a full stack developer and giving you my opinion on things and what I think is true and relevant. And I've learned so much in the process about myself and about software. And YouTube started out as something that was just going to be a video portfolio, and it's turned into something so much more. And I'm going to continue to grow it. It has essentially become a part of my life at this point in time. I don't see any instance in which I stop ever doing YouTube. And I appreciate everybody here who has supported me. Some of you with comments, some of you by liking a video, some of you by watching a video, some of you by telling your friends about the channel, some of you going that extra mile on Patreon. And to the 1,000 new of you that are part of the Coding Tutorials 360 family and friends and group, and we have things like the Facebook group and all these other resources that I'm trying to put out there. I hope that we all keep each other on track. I hope we keep everybody motivated. If you're trying to learn to code, if you already know how to code and you're trying to get an internship, if you're trying to get an internship, or if you already have an internship, you're trying to get that first junior level role. If you're in the junior level role, trying to get that senior role, the senior role, trying to become an architect. There's always room for growth, no matter where you are as an individual and as a person. And I think the last 2+ years, you've seen that in me, and you'll continue to see it, where one day I will be a senior developer, and then from there I will be an architect, and then I'll be traveling the path of software probably till the day I die. And all of you hopefully will be along with it, and we can share our experiences and go. I wish everybody the best. I hope that you're all working hard, man. I'm doing my best, and that is what I've learned in the long term, that if I do my best, if I really 100% do my best, I don't care what happens with the result. And typically I get the result I want. For me, it's just about working hard, man. And if I know that I've done everything I can do, I feel pretty good about it. So I hope you guys are working hard. You may not be where you want to be, but I promise you that you will get there if you work every day at it. And you may not get there when you want to get there, but a lot of times, by the time that we want to be somewhere, we should have started much sooner in life. And it just takes whatever it takes to get you there. But stay motivated, stay hungry, and I appreciate you all. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you at the next 24,000 subscriber AMA in about a couple weeks. Bye, guys.